Welcome to another episode of Amplify with Adam. Today we have Andrew here from AA Tactical. Andrew, thanks for joining us, man. Excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I gave you a little bit of an intro there, but love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and AA Tactical.
So yeah, my name is Andrew Renchich. I'm the CEO of AA Tactical Incorporated in Crestview, Florida. It's right there in the Panhandle, up in the north part of Florida. And we originally formed in 2013 as a firearms retail company, but we always kind of really knew that we wanted to morph into retail, manufacturing, custom shop, and 2019 we took that leap 100%. So we jumped headfirst into the manufacturing segment. No longer just putting things together. Now we're making our own things in-house and making parts for other manufacturers throughout the country. We didn't have much experience before that, though, so it's been a learning as you go process. December of 2019, I'd never ran a CNC machine before in my life. I'd never looked at G code. I'd never looked at programming, at datum, other than the basic stuff you learn in school.
Yeah.
I just knew that we wanted to go this route, and I figured the best way not to get divorced after dropping about $500,000 on equipment was to learn how to run my equipment.
Yeah.
And since then, now she's let me buy a third one. So obviously we're doing something right. We're right here in a military centric area. So Eglin Air Force Base is here. I actually got out of 7th Special Forces Group in 2018 as well. And so we have a lot of well-educated, a good workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can continue to grow that workforce. One of our employees we brought in, once again, knew nothing about machining. And from July 1st of last year to now, and he's programming them, and he's running, and I'll put a job to the side and he runs with it.
That's awesome.
So I've got 2 new Air Force gentlemen coming in, one the end of this month and one the end of March. And so we're really just trying to, take, people who are maybe on their second career or just wanting to learn something different and jumping at it. And so we've created, or we've completed, I should say, right around 480. I think we shipped another one today, 481 jobs for Xometry alone. We've maintained a 98 PS score. So I mean, we're doing really well for just starting out. The new machine coming in is going to be 5th axis. We got a new trunnion coming in for 4th axis. One of my ways I've kind of always looked at it is I'm going to buy the equipment. I'm going to get the right person in front of the equipment.
Yeah.
And I work myself out of a job. So I work myself constantly out of a job, and then I always find the next person. So if I can have 50 machines or 500 machines, if the spindles are turning and there's work for them and we can manage and we can keep everything, where we maintain our quality standards, then our goal is to have as many machinists as American workforce, essentially, that we can, and as many spindles as we can operating. So that's really our vision where we're trying to get to. We went from 0 to trying to get it above 100 real quick, but we take everything in stride and learn as we go and take feedback from everybody who's willing to give it. That's one thing in the machinist industry or just in the manufacturing industry. Machinists will share information with each other. It's, granted, there's some
so strong, like
there's some
threads,
Yeah, they're willing to work together. Oh, what's that chip load per tooth? What's, all those variables that a new age manufacturer machinist like myself didn't have to learn in going into school, because, well, I got this fancy calculator that does it, and GWiz calculator if that fails. And then if that all fails, the software does it for you anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to check here and there, but a lot of that black magic, as it used to be called, that's scared a lot of people away from it, is is not really black magic anymore. You just got to be willing to go out and learn it.
Yeah, dive in, learn, ask questions, lean on the community. So I've got I mean, that was a really rich intro. So I've got a couple questions. One, I want to highlight, it sounds like, so you guys are at least co-owned, woman-owned, and SOF-owned as well. So thank you for your service, first of all. And then it sounds like you guys also employ a lot of veterans as well. So that's a fantastic mission. It's so important. And so when you said that you had no manufacturing experience, prior to getting into this realm, and in 2019 you just got started. Where did you kind of get the educational content to dive in and start to learn how to operate some of these machines?
I've got a really good friend who's a senior machinist on Eglin. And so anything I had a question, he was kind of there to point me in the right direction, or show me the first time, maybe the second time, maybe even the third time.
Yeah.
So after a few months of that, it kind of just started to build on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get more time, just like anything, you learn, oh, that didn't work that time, let's try it a different way. And we've had our hiccups along the way, because biggest thing in manufacturing is how to hold something. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be creative. It might take longer to create the fixture than it does to create the part. And I mean, it just because that's how you have to clamp it, or
Yeah.
what have you. So those are the tricks and the tips that trying to continue to learn, but you're only going to learn them through time.
Yeah. And so, as you've learned, right, it sounds like you've built a nice educational or training program internally.
Mhm.
Is a lot of that just, you sitting down with someone and working through it with them, or
A lot of hands-on.
Lots of hands-on training.
Yeah, so Haas has a certification course on their website. Titan has certification courses on some of their academy. And so one thing I did when I brought Andy in, first thing is I had him down there right next to me at the machine, and we just plugged away, and a lot of the stuff was gibberish to him, because he didn't. Okay, I understand. He was chasing his tail for about a week, 2 weeks, and then I sat him upstairs in the classroom for a week. Off and on, where he was taking the Haas certification, which they're free. I mean,
Yeah.
You just create an account and you can go take these classes, and it really, by having the little bit of the week before to understand some of it, or to see them firsthand, and then to actually take the test and do the class and listen to the Haas representatives giving their education piece, things started to click. And then Feature Cam is the software program, or the cam software we run. It's just really user friendly. It is. So like I could show him, and then a lot of things, I could pull a step file from all over the place and be like, program this,
Yeah.
But some of it's just throwing them in front of it and, hey, how would you hold this? Just that constant back and forth, one-on-one, until we got to the point where, hey, this is your ball court now. Get me if you need me.
Yeah. Work yourself out of a job.
Work yourself out of a job, move into the next one. So I just got a Kiontz CMM in about 2 weeks ago. And so that's what I'm really digging into.
I was going to ask about, so it sounds like, there's almost three legs of the stool, right? There's programming, there's machining, and then there's, quality and inspection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I was going to ask if you were kind of diving into that yourself, or if that's something that, you've got some, talented employees kind of working on for you.
Well, right now I'm diving into that, and hopefully the end of March, I'm going to have an inspector coming in. It'll be another retired Air Force gentleman. And as soon as he gets in, I'm going to train him on the piece of equipment and let him go to town. And I've been told, the guy's working downstairs, and I'll tell him, your goal is to fail these parts.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to not get failed. I mean, so who's going to win at the end of the day?
Right.
Little things slip by. I mean, there was even something I caught last night. We caught it before it shipped. So those are a lot of the things that are harder lessons to learn, because if you don't know what you don't know, and then when you ship something and they're like, hey, this is wrong, and you're like, well, that can't be because, but so in your head you think it's all right, but there was something on the document that said no, you had to go off this point and you missed it, and so learning all that GD&T. I mean, we've got books and everything now at each workstation so that they can, those once again aren't things that were school taught, or we didn't go to school, a technical school to learn these. So you get to look at the little engineering black books and everything, and you hope that you can skim read it and still get work done at the same time.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're wearing a lot of hats, and you gotta, it's always a balance between, time, because obviously, there's tight lead times associated with jobs, but also paying attention to the details and catching those things, because you're right. It's a painful mistake when the part's done, and it ships and it's like, hey, this little detail caught you here, so that's why quality inspection can be so important there.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things. I know you put that thing in here, what was your
Well, if that's not 2020 for you, or 2021, I guess, I mean, like Zoom Zoom stuff, everybody working from home, I don't know what is. So my dog, I think the mailman got here and she went nuts, so sorry about that. But yeah, I think we were talking about inspection and kind of the, that can be a painful lesson to learn as you're putting out parts.
Yeah, so like that, and I remember looking at one of the questions you sent over on the little about what we were going to be talking about, and if there was one lesson that I thought I prepared for, but I hadn't really, that would have been the quality. So when we were standing up, and I warned the wife, hey, this is going to be an expensive venture, just hold on for the ride, it'll work out, bumpy here, there, anywho, and so you get height gauges, you get inside mics, you get all this tooling, thinking, okay, well, this is pretty easy. I can do this, I could do that. And you get your foot in the door and you're making parts, and you got to make sure that foot being in the door doesn't start to slip out. You got to make sure as you're making more advanced parts, you're also getting more advanced inspection equipment.
Yeah.
I had something here recently happen, and that was partially because I didn't know the answer, and I asked a question, and this, that, and the other, and it showed, hey, maybe this guy really doesn't know what he's talking about. Not in a bad way, but he should know the answer to that. And so that right there showed me, hey, time to get a CMM. Like, if you've done how many parts now? It's just get it over with. It's a little bit painful, but it's going to make your life a lot easier. And when somebody says, oh, this is out, you can be like, no, my CMM that's accurate to 5 thou, or to half thou, is going to be prove me right or wrong, or
right. But at least you have support there, and
supporting documentation and everything. So
did you get the CMM? You said that you have a 5-axis coming in. Did you get it in preparation for the 5-axis, or do you expect to have to like kind of supplement the 5-axis with some additional programming or quality technology?
No, I got it mainly because of quality management, just to make sure as we continue to pump out parts, I want to be able to work myself out of that job and have an inspector who that's their sole purpose is making sure the paperwork's right, making sure it's ready to go, and out the door it goes. And so having that CMM is going to make it to where everything's streamlined. Everybody can read a micrometer differently, a hand micrometer, but the probe, you hold here, do this, it does what it does. And then the black magic pops out and says, you're either good or you're not.
Right.
So it's going to streamline things, and mainly for growth, as we've continued to get more jobs and learn a little bit more, and granted, like I said, we've only been in this just over a year.
Yeah.
The third machine coming in, and I want to be able to go out after more and more clients, so that way we can get more and more spindles. Essentially, I've already secured a 3.5 acre industrial site for a new facility.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's just a matter of getting the requirement there for me to do the investment in. It'll be upwards of 50,000 square feet all said and done. So you can fit a lot of spindles in there.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of employment or workforce development for our community. And so I say that to, like, we get all those so that we can go out and be more marketable, so that
when you're looking at growth like that, do you analyze the market, both Xometry job boards and local stuff, and say, hey, there's this much 5-axis machine work out there, so I'm going to go get a 5-axis machine? Or, do you just kind of expect that, as I get more capabilities, my customers will flow, more of that work through? What was that kind of give and take there?
Well, the give and take is everything in 2021. Is going to be going to 5th axis.
Yeah.
Beyond. So, we got to have our 3 and 4 axis, but most of the machines, I at this point in time, I believe most machines moving forward that I end up purchasing will be 5th axis capable. And that's just because you can get things done a lot faster. They're a little bit more difficult to program. I still am in that very beginning of having to learn those. I got 3 and I'm working on 4 and 5th. But it's just the way the entire market. If we want to keep up with China, and you look at those facilities over there, and you look at the workforce that they have over there, and there's 400,000 ISO qualified companies versus the U.S., which I can't remember the exact number, but I believe we're in like 16th place globally for our certified manufacturers. That's on our generation now to get some of that back. So we're actually in the process of doing, there goes the phone, like I said it was going to be gone. But we're in the early stages. About 6 months, we should be able to get AS 9100 certified.
Fantastic.
And then we're working on CMMC, and we're just going to go straight for the level 3 because we got 5 years to be certified. We have a duration of time, not necessarily 5 years, to be certified, but we'll be compliant working towards that certification. So I mainly, to answer your question in a shorter answer, I purchased it because I know it's the direction we're going, and I'm not afraid to invest in equipment I know that's going to be used. Usable. Now, I have stayed away from 3D printing and things of that nature because those, a spindle's a spindle. It turns, it cuts, put the bit or put the end mill in. But filament changes and technology changes, and so like the additive manufacturing, we're gonna hold pause, wait for that to mature a much more. But when it comes to just removing material and finishing and working with metal, the basics have always been the basics. It's just how technology has allowed them to get more.
Yeah. No, 100%. Now, besides 5-axis, is there anything that, any technology that's kind of got your interest peaked, or like as you look towards growing to 50,000 square feet, are you layering in any new like finishing capabilities, or, what kind of does the future look like for you guys?
Well, right now we have, and most of your manufacturers or your industrials are not using Cerakote at the level we're doing right now. We don't have anodizing in-house, but we do have Cerakote finishing from Nick Industries. And it's a good firearm coating. It goes on a lot of different parts, but we won't really be adjusting our finishing side until we have more square footage. If anything, I'm going to be focusing on the spindle count. So whether it's transitioning from 3, 4, 5 axis, and maybe even throwing a Swiss machine in there,
Yeah.
We are in the firearms industry, and you can make projectiles, you can make stuff. So it's just a matter of what can I get the person to run and what makes the economic sense. Yeah, I've always kind of been the build it and it'll come kind of person.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't buy a piece of equipment just because it's got an end state right there in front of me. It's because that I know once I have it, it'll get used and I'll be able to market it a different way. So
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And so yeah, you kind of beat me to the punch on your lessons and like kind of the one lesson you pass on besides focusing on the quality and the inspection aspect of it. Is there anything else that you would talk to about someone that was getting either interested in the space or maybe like your I would say your younger self, but I mean it was a year ago that you were getting into the space as well, so
I mean, it's definitely going to be different vantage points from whether you're the business owner or the technician who's wanting to learn the trade. Wanting to learn the trade, there's the great thing about Xometry jobs is there's always something different. Like I snagged 4 or 5 jobs just a little bit ago, programmed 2 of them already, and they're downstairs cutting now, but there's always something different. Now the turnaround times, some of the pay side,
yeah, they're tight.
those are tight, but they're always different. So you're not walking into a shop and always making the same thing. There's room for that. That's how you can facilitate those spindles being locked down and having that operator standing there making sure that they're making parts all day. But the job shop setup, it's very interesting. It gets you exposed to a lot of different fixturing, how to just tooling as a whole. I mean, when we first started out, we didn't have any. So, I got several tool chests, and I went pretty much down the line of end mills, down the line of ball mills, down the line of quarter round. I mean, so because the turnaround times with Xometry are quick, and I don't have time to order an end mill and it'll be in and bill it to the job.
Right.
So I had to go. There's a lot of upfront costs that were right there, all the way down to there being 3 different types of drill bits, also numeric and fractional. I mean, most people only deal with fractional in their life, and then you get into, number 80,
Listen, man, I was the marketing manager for Xometry Supplies for a while, and it was my first look into tools. And I was like, number 80 is a measurement, like that. My first week, I was like, wait, what? So, I get that.
So, yeah, I mean, but for the business owner, be prepared to work a lot. You got to be willing to learn. You're going to have to invest. But I liked, and I'm going to say this because that's what I'm doing. But it's going to work out in the end. You can't have a mindset anything different than that. Otherwise, the outcome won't be that.
Right.
So and for the individual who's wanting to learn the field, you can, I guess, look at it 2 ways. You can go to college. You can get a degree. You can kind of hope that the degree field you went in fits what you want to do, and then you can hope that you get a job. But what a lot of people are seeing, at least through our career sources and everything, our local economic, you can get into a trade and you've got a job immediately. And your debt load,
well-paying job, right? Like, some of the high-skilled technicians and machinists, right? Like, it's a good career path for folks to get into. You're always going to have job options and you're compensated well.
And as long as you continue to progress with the technology, you're always you're willing to go out there and work and show dedication, you're always going to have a job. Just because, I mean, that's the problem. College is great for some people. It's not for everybody. I'm not a college. My wife's not a college person. If our kids want to go, then so be it. But, at the same time, I've got her in the welding course for the last 5 years. And so she's hopefully going to shift into production of some sort because it's hands-on. It's a service base. So, somebody needs your help versus you're trying to talk somebody into helping them. I mean, so it just different ways, but you'll use your hands more, and it's job shop is a way to see a lot of the different angles and sides of, depending on the size of the facility also. I mean, if you're, you know, a 500 person company and you go into a job, they're probably still only going to tell you push this button.
Yeah, you gotta
push this button. But you know, I mean, you go into a 10 person company, so it's just looking for what your intent is and driving for.
Well, in that situation, you learn every day, man. You come and you know, you're constantly getting new parts, new strategies, and you're going to be learning something new every day. So that is fantastic advice. And Andrew, man, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I've so enjoyed it. You know, really, really cool story. And like I said, I want to thank you for your service one more time, and just best of luck, as it sounds like you guys have explosive growth coming up. So we'll be excited to track it, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Sounds like a plan. I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, and tune in next week for another episode of Amplify with Adam.